In Albany today, and interesting, I saw that your press conference yesterday was postponed, obviously for obvious reasons. But what for you led to the postponement?
Well, my concern was that our message would kind of be diluted when everybody's focused and watching what happened in Orlando. For us to come out and talk about easing restrictions on firearms here in New York State,
right?
I just had some concerns about how that would be perceived. That does not mean at all that we're backing off of our goal, and the ultimate goal is, of course, is a total repeal of the SAFE Act. But what we're proposing today, yesterday, what we intended to propose was an incremental step toward that goal. So we won't back off. Quite frankly, the bill that we put together would basically separate upstate from downstate. We would have a different version of SAFE Act upstate. We'd get rid of some of the more odious portions of the bill, including, I was listening to your earlier conversation, the definition of an assault weapon. What's in the SAFE Act is just outrageous. So we'll probably do something maybe next week, but we just thought the timing was poor.
And I hate to say this, Mark, but if you remember what happened with Newtown, this general feel that although the governor really stepped in quickly to stop, he just poured gasoline on the fire when he tried to push the SAFE Act at that time. But these things tend to go on. They tend to linger, and then people begin to forget. And are you worried that the majority of people in New York here are going to be sympathetic and not as quick to stand up for a repeal or even just eating away or an erosion of the SAFE Act?
Well, Bill, as I have the largest district in the state. I go up through the Adirondacks and way up to the North Country, and I am just absolutely taken aback by the number of the Stop the SAFE Act or Anti-SAFE Acts lawn signs. Now, this has been in place now since early 2013, and the emotion against that does not seem to be subsiding. And it's a lot about firearms, but it's more about those urban sensibilities, New York City and the suburbs, their philosophies, their concept of we need more government, we need to get more involved in people's life. I think that's the larger issue, and I think that's the conversation that we're hoping to get going. As part of this, in my remarks, I was going to talk about, we have a colleague of mine, Stephen Hawley from Western New York, has a bill to separate New York into two states. Now, practically, that's going to be a tough thing to get passed. But I think it expresses the growing frustration upstate. I mean, every issue that comes up, we seem to be on the short end of the stick.
And that's why
with the SAFE Act. It's really what it represents and how it was passed as well.
And that's why I really think that it is important to consider what the general feel of the majority of people in New York is, because this is how this stuff gets passed. It's like, I don't. After this story, I don't care what happens.
The demographics in New York have changed. I mean, the population of New York City and the suburbs, that continues to grow, while upstate, we're losing a lot of population. People going to look for jobs because the place where people work can't operate with all the mandates and all of the things that Albany pushes on us. So, that's what it's all about. But they're in the driver's seat, and a lot of upstate people don't like it. This is saying, hey, what about us?
Sure. All right. Makes sense.
We live differently up here. We believe different things. We want different things out of life, and don't pour your philosophies on top of us.
One last note before we let you go. I noticed that the Observer-Dispatch did an editorial over the weekend, and the first line of it was Marc Butler is right, and talking about the... Now, I don't know if this goes back to your days when you worked for the OD, but...
I don't think so. I never thought I would read those words in the Observer-Dispatch. I guess every politician feels they don't get quite a fair shake from the media. But I was blown away, and I had talked to the editorial writer Dave Dudayek earlier in the week, and I knew something was coming out, but I didn't know who else he was interviewing and what would be involved in that. So that was a pleasant surprise.
This is
when I woke up Sunday morning.
The issue, of course, is Hinckley, that they feel there should be some sort of a discussion that is opened on the viability of water in the area, and do we need to make adjustments or changes?
Well, one of these regional meetings in 2014, I recommended that, or I suggested that, and the county executive, Anthony Pacenti, was there, and he said, we'll consider that. And then by the end of the day, the idea had just died. Ray Durso from the Genesis Group had offered to kind of be an objective observer and get involved and organize it, which I think would be an excellent idea. But I think it's important that, we've now recognized what I've been saying for 10 years. I mean, Hinckley is a reservoir. It doesn't act like what we would consider to be a lake. It's the weather affects it. How much water they need in the canal affects it. How much water they need for the hydro facilities. So there are many needs, many competing needs, and it will be a very complex process to really come up with some kind of agreement so everybody gets what they consider to be their fair share of water there.
Going to be interesting to see what comes out of all of it. But it's been a dry spring until the last few days, anyway, and those water levels have been extremely low. All right, Mark, good stuff. We appreciate your time.
All right, thanks, Bill.
Marc
Thanks,
Butler.
guys.
All right.